Hello friends, let us start the new chapter which is plastic design or analysis, which is also known as ultimate design. Okay, so before starting this plastic analysis, let us first discuss stress and strain curve. Okay, as you know, if I take a rod, this is my rod, if I start applying a load, then a stress strain curve can be drawn assuming that the area is constant. So, area is constant. With that assumption, if we draw, then we get this type of stress strain curve. This stress strain curve in detail I will discuss in strength of material classes. But right now I am concentrating on 2 points. One is this sigma y, which is known as yield stress, and second is this ultimate stress. Okay, so what is yield stress? Yield stress is a point after which the stress does not increase, but there is an increase in the strain. As you see in this curve, that if you start the test, then this is the elastic region. Elastic region nearly ends at yield stress, and after that there is no increase in the stress, but there is a constant increase in the strain. Okay, so what is the point which I want to discuss? That at yield yield stress, the yield strain is only 0.11%. Okay, and at the end of this point, where stress again start to increase, this point is known as strain hardening. Okay, so at this point the strain is 1.2%. okay, so what does this show? That if I have a bar of 1 meter length, let us say, and area is constant, then if I elongate this bar by a pull of P load and I start increasing this P, then first the stress will increase linearly with strain up to elastic region. Okay, at yield point the strain will be 0.11%. So what is 0.11% of 1 meter? 0.11% of 1 meter is 1.1 millimeter. Is it okay? Okay, so at 1.1 millimeter elongation, so if the elongation is 1.1 millimeter, the yield point will come, or the bar will yield it. But after that there will be no increase in the stress, but the strain will increase, and at this point 1.2% of 1 meter is 12 millimeter. So the bar can stretch up to how much value? 10.9 millimeter. Okay, so this is the range in which the yielding is taking place. So when engineer found this, they found it very useful. Okay, and they try to use it in their design so that the design become economical, and for the same section they are able to have more loads. Okay, so friends, coming back to my point, that how we can use this part. So what engineer was doing before they able to use this, what they are doing, they are giving their failure criteria to be yield stress. So what does mean? It means that anywhere in the section, If I reach the yield stress, I will declare section to be failed or it is not safe. So my criteria is only in anywhere the section reaches to the yield stress. Now let us take the example. If I stretch this rod, okay, and if it reaches to its yield point, which will be 1.1 millimeter, I will say it is of no use. So okay, this is not important here, but come to this part. I have 3 rods of different length, same material, but if I stretch, then by strength of material we can prove that the load taken, I have given the derivation here, but I will discuss this compatibility equation and other thing in strength of material. Just here I am giving you a view that if you solve, you will get that T1 is T2 by 2, which means that the load taken by T1 is less. Is it okay? So this is the part. Now if you see from here that the load taken by T2 is more than T1. Is it okay? So if I apply the load, let us say some value of P, and if this yielded, okay, so the yield stretch reach at this bar, and since by this equation I can know that these bars will yield after this. So previously what was happening, that the engineer were saying failure when this bar yield. If this bar yield, they say failure. Okay, they do not bother about the yielding of these bars. So what is happening? I have underutilized these two. Okay, they are below yield, but when people understand this part, that this is a elongation which can take place without stress. So what is happening now, that if I keep on increasing P, so first this will yield, then this will yield with this. So my load taking capacity increases. And what happened during the increase? Let us take it again. Now let us see this question. Okay, so if I have P and I keep on increasing P, and I have already proved that T2 is greater than T1. Is it okay? But let us say P, this is P1, this is P2, and this is P3. Is it okay? So at when P is equal to P1, what is happening? That 2 is somewhere here and 1 is somewhere here. As I increase P, and at P2, the first rod, which is my T2 rod, is yielded. So what happens? Now this T2 reach to this point. Okay, but this rod is somewhere here. Now as I increase P2 to P3, what will happen? That all the 3 bars have yielded. This has already yielded. At P3, this and this is already yielded. This and this one is also yielded. So what will happen? This will move somewhere here, and this will move to this place. Is it okay? So what is my total load taking capacity? It will be 3 times sigma y into A. And what is my load taking capacity at this point? It will be sigma y into A plus something which is less than twice sigma y into A. Here why I am using 3? Because all 3 has yielded. This and this. Is it okay? So I have used this equation. Clear? So if you see, my load taking capacity is increases in the indeterminate structure. And what I have done? I have used this region of the curve which I was not using initially. So when engineer found that this is a useful thing and this can be used in a better way, they started making the structure more towards the plastic side. So what will happen, friends? If you see initially it is a indeterminate structure. Is it okay? Or let us say this is a indeterminate structure. But when it reaches here, it becomes a determinate structure. Why? Because here, now if you see here, what is my total unknown? 1, 2 and 3. And how many equation is available? 2 equation is available, which is summation v equal to 0 and summation m equal to 0. So I have 3 unknowns and only 2 equations are available. Is it okay? So it is a indeterminacy of 1. When I reach here, what is happening? The total number of unknown is 1 and 2. This has already been yielded, so it is now taking no load. So it is now becomes 0. The load taking capacity of this section becomes 0. So it is not taking any load. So how many unknowns? 2. And how many equation available? 2. So indeterminacy is 0. So this become a determinate structure. So as we move on to make plastic analysis more and more, what we are doing? We are reducing the indeterminacy of the structure, which I will discuss in detail when I will be taking up the question. But you should understand, as I move progressively towards the plastic analysis, I am reducing the indeterminacy of the structure because I am using the structure in a more useful way. So this is the first thing. Now let us come to the another point, which is that my usefulness of the structure will be only this. This is a very big length. So now my stress strain curve for plastic analysis will be like this. Okay. So this is a straight line. I am saying that it is yielded at this point, and this is a constant line, which is this part. So this is here. Is it okay? This is my ideal stress strain curve. Ideal stress strain curve. Is it okay? Now, friends, I will discuss why we are using only mild steel, why we are not using another material for plastic analysis, why only mild steel. First, let us take concrete. Why concrete? In concrete, we do not study plastic analysis. The reason is, for concrete, this part is very less. Is it okay? This part is very less, which is around, if this is 1 millimeter, as I said, then this is 3 millimeter for concrete. So 1 millimeter to 3 millimeter, which is very less. Okay, so I will not get much benefit in this part. Okay, so the yielding point is very less, so concrete is not useful. Is it okay? Now take the second case, which is brass. Why we do not use it in brass? Because brass is a brittle material. Is it okay? Since brass is a brittle material, so again this value is very less and we cannot use it. Now comes to aluminium. Very good material. Okay, so aluminium is a very good material for plastic analysis. This length is also very high in aluminium. The only problem is buckling. Aluminium is very weak in buckling. So if you take care of buckling in aluminium, then you can use plastic analysis in the aluminium in a better way. But only thing you have to consider is the buckling. But mild steel, we need not to consider buckling also, because mild steel is having good buckling strength in comparison to aluminium, has good yield value or yielding length, This is also very good in mild steel. So the plastic analysis part is more suited to the mild steel. Now, friends, coming back to our main theory of flexure, how we can use the plastic analysis part into the flexure. So before plastic analysis, what engineers are doing, they are using the equation m over I is equal to f over y is equal to E over r. Now this f is my yield, sigma y. So the moment f reaches fy, and y is what? Extreme fiber. The moment extreme fiber reaches this sigma y, I say failure has taken place, and I put m is equal to mr, which is the moment of resistance. Is it okay? Clear? But we are not considering other fibers which are below the extreme fiber. So we are not taking yielding of the fibers which are below. Is it okay? So this is the problem in the elastic analysis, and the section is underutilized. The moment this reaches the yield value, which I say sigma y, I say failure has taken place. Is it okay? I am not bothered about the remaining part. So when engineers think that we can use this also, so what they have done, when this part yielded, so this part, let us say this section is made up of 3 fibers only. This is layer A, this is layer B, and this is layer C. Okay, so what happened when this layer, first layer A yielded sigma y, so this layer reaches to this point, but these two are below that. Now when B yielded, where A will move? A will move to this part, but while B will move to this part. But C is not yielded. Is it okay? So when C will start yield, what will happen? A will move here, B will move somewhere here, and C will yield. And this process will continue till up to neutral axis, all the fiber yielded. Is it okay? So in between the things are happening is known as elastoplastic. So if you see here, only the top layer has yielded and the second top 2 layer has yielded, so it is elastoplastic. When moment all the layers is yielded, then it's become what we call total plastic region. Now all the layers have yielded, so all layer have sigma y stresses. So at first layer when yielded, the graph is like this. Okay, so this is sigma y. When second layer yielded, so my graph becomes first layer and second layer yielded, rest all are in elastic region. Slowly for third layer also, and finally I will reach to a point where my all layers have yielded. So this is my plastic region, and all these 3 are my elastic region, and this is my plastic region. Now in plastic, we do not able to apply this formula, m over I is equal to f over y is equal to E over r, is not applicable for plastic. Is it okay? So what formula is applicable to plastic? I am not going into the derivation since we are preparing for the objective questions. So it will be MP, the new formula for plastic is sigma y into A by 2 into y1 plus y2. Is it okay? Now we have to understand what is y1 and y2. When, let us say, I have this section, okay, a imaginary section. Now section is converting from elastic to plastic. What will happen? Its neutral axis will change. Okay, and neutral axis will shift in such a way that the upper area is equal to the lower area. Is it okay? So neutral axis will shift in such a way that the area of upper part is equal to the area of lower part. So might be its neutral axis shifted here. So this is the neutral axis at plastic and this is elastic. Okay, so neutral axis shifts in plastic part. Now what does it mean? It means that if the section is symmetrical, so neutral axis shift in plastic part such that area above neutral axis is equal to area below neutral axis. Okay, if section is symmetrical, then no change. Okay, but if section is unsymmetrical, then neutral axis will shift. Is it okay? Clear? So since this is a unsymmetrical section, so neutral axis will shift. Now what is y1? y1 is the center of gravity from the new neutral axis of the top part. So this is y1 bar. Similarly, what is y2? y2 is the distance of the center of gravity from the neutral axis of the below part. Is it okay? And A is the total area of the section. And A is the total area of the section. So this is the basic equation of plastic moment taking capacity. So what is MP? MP is sigma y into A by 2 y1 plus y2. In elastic we use this, but in plastic we use this. Is it okay? So if you see, I can put sigma y is equal to ZP. Okay, now what is my ZP? ZP is plastic modulus of section, which is A by 2 into y1 plus y2. I just define what is y1 and y2. Is it okay? And A is the total area. So it is a geometrical property. Again, as we have in the elastic section, we have the section modulus. Here we have the plastic modulus. Is it okay? And it is A by 2 into y1 plus y2, which is a property of a section or geometry. So it is important. Please remember that ZP depends upon type of section. So rectangle will have different ZP, circle will have different ZP, T section will have different ZP, channel will have different ZP. So it is a geometrical property, not a loading property. That is first thing you have to understand. From this we get a very important definition, which is shape factor. Okay, so what is shape factor? Shape factor is defined as MP over My. Is it okay? So what is MP? What is MP? MP is the moment taking capacity of at the plastic stage, and My is the moment taking capacity at the elastic stage. That is the definition of MP and My. So moment taking capacity at plastic stage divided by moment taking capacity at elastic stage. Now, since I have just proved MP is sigma y into ZP and my we all know is sigma y into z. So if you divide these two, you will get S, which is Zp over Z. Is it okay? Now, if you solve for each section, you will get different shape factor. I have just put, you just remember all these, and I will tell you how to calculate that also. But now you remember, for rectangle, S is 1.5. For diamond, it is 2. For triangle, it is 2.34. For circle, it is 1.70. For I section, about x-axis, it is 1.12, and for y, it is 1.55. Is it okay? Okay. So this is up to this my first video. Now let us summarize the things what we have studied today. So elastic and plastic. So the basic equation is M is equal to sigma y into Z. Here M plastic is sigma y into Zp, where Zp is a by 2 into y1 bar plus y2 bar. Now second important part is failure will takes place when only one fiber extreme yielded. Okay. In this formation of hinge will takes place when all the fibers are yielded. I will discuss what is the meaning of formation of hinge when all the fiber are yielded. Okay, so friends, I just stop my video here so that you can understand the basic part of plastic analysis, and then in the second part I will be starting the in-depth knowledge of the plastic analysis. Thank you friends for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot of things. If you like this video, give a thumbs up, and please write a comment for any suggestion which you want to give me. Also, you can WhatsApp me for any query or any doubt which you are facing while watching the video. Thank you. Enjoy civil engineering.